What's going on, everybody? So many people are always talking about the super expensive cards. Look at what this person's, spent on this expensive card. Look at what that person spent on that expensive card. And I get it. I get it. It is interesting to see how much money people are spending and what they're spending it on. But for most of us, that's not relatable. That's not in our price range. And a lot of those cards we're not even that interested in. The average normal collector, like most of us, are adding cards in that $40 to $50 range. We're not going out and buying $50,000 cards. So I understand why some people are interested in what that stuff is selling for. But I'm more interested in the stuff I actually might be buying and adding to my collection. So what I've been doing recently is I've been going through the eBay sales from the 1950s and looking at what kinds of things are selling for under $50. And depending on what the prices are, some of the times I'm kind of blown away at the cool stuff that is very affordable and in the normal collector's price range. So once again, what I did is I went through all of those sales of cards from the 1950s, whether they be in SGC slabs or PSA slabs, and I picked out ones that really stood out to me. We all think in order to have a Mickey Mantle card or a Willie Mays card or a Hank Aaron card, we've got to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But that's just not true. There are cards that are affordable for the average budget, for the normal collector. See, most collectors, they're not as worried about the condition as simply the desire to have the card in your collection. So some of these cards are 5 and 6 grades, and some of them are 1s or 2s. But they're all the card, and they're all great additions to any collection. So I moved through them quickly because, again, I selected 50 of them. So I moved through quickly and I show you what I think some great deals are. Now, a lot of people have said, well, why don't you show comps? Why don't you show what these normally sell for compared to what they sold for here? But to me, that's not the point. The point is not that these 50 cards are particularly amazing deals and way below what they usually sell for. The point is that these are everyday cards that are really cool. 51 Bowmans, 50 Bowmans, 58 tops, 55 tops. There's some really cool stuff that is in that affordable price range. So while we get enamored with the large sums of money that some people are spending, when it comes to our own collection and our realistic budget, there are cool cards out there. And that's the point here, is what are the cards we can afford that are very cool of some of the all-time great players that are realistic to add to our collection. So let's take a look at 50 of my favorite deals under $50 during the month of October, and I think would be a terrific addition to any collection.
All right, how about starting off with a 1958 Topps Ted Williams All-Star in an SGC 2.5. Now looking at that card, it's really well centered, and it's Ted Williams, and it's under $50, which seems kind of crazy to me that we can still be buying Ted Williams cards for under $50, especially ones from the 50s that are graded. $50 for that card. Well, $49.99. Next up, and we forget sometimes, I think, just how many iconic sets there are from the 1950s, but the 54 set is a beauty. And a 3.5 Duke Snider sold for $49.24. That was a sharp-looking card, and the color looked amazing. Next up, we've got a 1952 Bob Feller. Iconic 52 top set. And Bob Feller, an iconic pitcher. $49 for that card in the... I think it's beautiful with that background in yellow. How about a 57 Don Drysdale rookie card in a PSA 2? And it's really well centered. Now, it's got a little bit of surface issue, but there's a lot of snow that you'll find on that 57 top set. So $49 for that well-centered Drysdale rookie. How about another 57? This one is beautiful. It's a PSA 4. But when you look at an Eddie Matthews 57, that's a really good-looking card. A lot of his cards in the 50s are really good-looking cards, actually. $49. Now, a second-year Roy Campanella, and that's 1950 Bowman in an SGC2, pretty well centered, for $48.77. A second-year Campanella. That seems very reasonable to me. Now, check this one out. You've got a 1959 Topps Willie Mays, the catch card, and a PSA 4. It seems crazy to me that this card could be that affordable. Well, it's so unbelievable. It's my first mind-blowing deal of the month. That just seems too cheap for a cool card of Willie Mays, especially in a PSA 4. How about a 1956 Topps Warren Spahn in a PSA 4? Really well-centered card. $47.89. Now, you know I'm a Warren Spahn collector. I like Warren Spahn a lot for a lot of reasons. So you might see more of his coming up. How about a 1957 Topps Yogi Berra? This one in an SGC2. Another really well-centered card. I tried to not just pick cards that I thought were good deals, but really nice-looking ones. So an SGC2 for $47.05.
It's not too late. There's still time to enter the giveaway for the 1960 Mickey Mantle All-Star card. Remember, all you have to do to win this Mantle card is follow me on Whatnot, and then down below in the comments, simply type your username from Whatnot. If you don't have Whatnot, down below in the description for the video and in the pinned comments, I have a link to Whatnot that allows you to sign up. It will help you to follow me, and it will give you a $15 free credit. Just use that credit before November 20th, the day of the giveaway. So November 16th to the 19th is the virtual card show 3 on Whatnot. Follow me on Whatnot. Leave your Whatnot username in the comments below. And if you need an account, use that link for the $15 free that you can use on the virtual card show 3. Don't forget, there's still time, but it's coming fast because November 20th, I'm giving away that Mantle.
How about a 1954 Bowman Larry Doby? I've always liked this card. It's kind of just hanging out, sitting on the steps, and it's a 5. It's a really nice copy of the card, and it's $47 for an SGC 5, 1954 Larry Doby. Now look at this. This is a second-year autogram. 1951 Bowman autogram in an SGC2. And again, it's got good eye appeal. The picture's not great, which is part of the reason it probably didn't sell for more. But really well centered, looks nice. And I just cannot believe that it went this cheap. And that is our second mind-blowing deal of the month. I continue to say I think football cards are too cheap. Speaking of, how about a second year Bart Starr card? A 1958 Topps Bart Starr and a PSA 4. Again, a nice looking card for $46. Why is vintage football so cheap? I have no idea. A 1951 Bowman, now that is such an important set. that 1951 Bowman. How about a Pee Wee Reese in an SGC4? Really well centered, really good eye appeal for only $46. These are big name guys, big name Hall of Famers. How about Minnie Minoso? His SGC 3.5 1954 Bowman. Again, a really well centered one. So I tried to pick ones that were nicely centered. And that Minnie Minoso was $44.36 this month on auction. Now, I love the Topps Collegiate All-American set. And how about a Newt Rockne? Now, yes, it's just an SGC1, but it's still a Newt Rockne card, and there are not many of those out there. And this sold for $43.77. Next up, 1953 Topps, Roy Campanella. A really cool shot of him. Truly looks happy, laughing there in the photo, or in the portrait, I should say. And an SGC2 sold for $43.76. Again, really well-centered, really good eye appeal card. And whenever you see a card that is centered that nicely, we have to remember that the quality control was basically non-existent back then. How about a 1953 Bowman Color, Richie Ashburn in an SGC4? When you start getting to like a 4 grade, whether it be SGC or PSA, those are really solid cards. And this is an awesome set, the 53 Bowman Color, and Richie Ashburn has a huge following, huge collector base. A 1954 Topps Eddie Matthews in an SGC4. I pointed out recently that I think Eddie Matthews is largely overshadowed just because he played with Hank Aaron. But that's a beautiful card in a 4 from the 1954 set. How about another Bowman Color? The 1953 Bowman Color Minnie Minoso in a 2. Now, the corners are clearly rounded and soft there, but that's a great eye appeal card. It's a beautiful picture. It's really well centered, and it was $43 in a recent auction in October. Back to Warren Spahn. You know I like him. A 57 Topps Warren Spahn. One of my favorite pictures on a card out there. I recently picked up one of these. This one's a 3.5, and it went for $42.41. Tell me that the Warren Spahn in the 57 set, that picture's not awesome. Another Warren Spahn, a 1956 Warren Spahn. My dad's favorite set. And this one's in a 4. Look how well centered that is. A really well centered Warren Spahn in an SGC 4 from the 56 set sold for $42. Now, again, it's not just that kind of second tier Hall of Famer. You can get Willie Mays cards. Here's a 58 Willie Mays All-Star in an SGC 2.5. It's a little off center side to side, but it's a 2.5, so it's a solid card. It's not thrashed by any means. It was $41. Now, when you're buying Hall of Famers from iconic sets, which are some of the ones I tried to pick, this time the 52 Topps, Robin Roberts, a very good pitcher during that decade, probably overlooked because he played on some teams that did not do very well. But an SGC 2, 52 Topps Robin Roberts sold for $41, and that is really well centered and a really nice image on that card. Now, this is a little OC fair, but it's a 51 Bowman Roy Campanella. Again, another very important set in the hobby. In an SGC 1.5, sold for $41. One of my favorite catcher cards, which was a recent question I had, or what are some of my favorite catcher cards? I love how he's thrown off the mask in that one. Another 53 Bowman Color, another Bob Feller. This is a 1.5, so it's got a crease in it. It's a little off center side to side, but it's Bob Feller, and it's the 53 Bowman Color set, and it's $40. Back to football, which is largely overlooked, a 51 Bowman Sammy Baugh. Sammy Baugh is one of those early quarterbacks that I think is worth collecting. His rookie card is in 48, and then he's got a really cool 1950 Bowman card. This is the 51 Bowman set. If you're looking to collect vintage football, look no further than the 50 and 51 Bowman sets. How about a 1954 Bowman Roy Campanella in an SGC 3? This went for $40. I love that picture of him. I love the B for the Brooklyn Dodgers on his hat. Another 54 Bowman. This is a Whitey Ford. One of my favorite Whitey Ford cards. This one's a PSA 3. He's got his hands up high it's like he's in his wind-up and his stretch as he's getting ready to deliver. $39.99. A recent graded card of that Whitey Ford. How about another Whitey Ford? A 55 Bowman Whitey Ford and a PSA 4. I mean, that's really well centered. And this is a brutal set. The dark borders make it show any touch along the edges. And this one looks pretty clean for $39. Whitey Ford, one of the more overlooked pitchers for some reason. Now, in 1951, Burke Ross made cards, and they made a variety of different sports. How about a Jesse Owens in an SGC 3? Jesse Owens is probably my all-time favorite track and field star, and this went for $38.32. In 1956, Topps Larry Doby in an SGC 4. Look at how well that is centered. And the color just pops. $38 for a 56 Topps Larry Doby in an SGC 4. Again, it's $15 plus, $15 to $20 to get a card graded nowadays. It's 56 Topps Mini Minoso in an SGC 4.5. A 4.5 is a really solid card. Really cool Mini Minoso card for $37.63. I love how that set is in landscape style. Now look at this. This is a second-year Johnny Unitas. Second-year Johnny Unitas. His rookies to 57 set. It's an SGC 4, and it sold for $37. $37 for a second-year Johnny Unitas and SGC 4. Yeah, that's definitely making the mind-blown list. I'm telling you all, vintage football is so overlooked. 1957 Topps Dodgers Sluggers. Now, this card is cool because it has so many great players on it. It's got 4 Dodgers. That 57 Topps set is one of the first sets that really started doing multiplayer cards, making it a very important set, and that went for less than $40. Now, look at this one. A 55 Topps Ken Boyer. This is a Ken Boyer rookie card in an SGC 4. I think he has a real chance at making the Hall of Fame someday. And his rookie card in an SGC 4 went for $37. Well-centered, beautiful color. One of the better-looking Monty Irvin cards is his 54 Topps. This is an SGC 4, and that's a beautiful-looking copy. Again, really well-centered for $36. We've seen Willie Mays cards and Monty Irvin cards and Warren Spahn cards. There are great cards out there for less than $50. You don't have to go broke collecting cards in this hobby. A 53 Topps Whitey Ford in an SGC 2.5, $36. Now remember, Whitey Ford's rookie card is in the 51 set. So this is very early in his career. Another multiplayer card. I think multiplayer cards are very, very overlooked. I think they're undervalued. I think super collectors are starting to gobble them up, and the price is on the rise. The 58 Topps Fence Busters, SGC 4.5. You got some big boys in there, like Hank Aaron. You got a 1956 Topps Eddie Matthews, another beautiful card, really well centered. It's a 2.5, but the center and the color is so nice. The presentation on this card is gorgeous, and it's just $34. I mean, and I'm sure you noticed by now, but we started with the most expensive. We're working our way down. We're under $35 for all these cards moving forward. This is incredible that there are great cards like this for that price. A 1959 Mantle's 42nd home run card in an SGC 1.5 for $34. I mean, the card has Mickey Mantle on it, and it's under $35. 1953 Topps Early Win in an SGC 3. I really think the 53 Topps set is one of the most beautiful sets of all time. Early Win, a Hall of Fame pitcher for $33. And it's well centered and it has great color. How about the 51 Topps Redback Duke Snider in an SGC4? Redbacks are really the first Topps set of baseball cards. And this is Duke Snider, and it's in a 4. It's hard to find these in good condition. How about a 1950 Bowman Pee Wee Reese in a PSA 2? So, a very early Pee Wee Reese card, a 1950 Bowman Pee Wee Reese card, and it's $32, and PSA's charging $20 or $25 to get a card graded. How about a 1957 Topps Richie Ashburn in a PSA 5? I mean, again, Richie Ashburn, there are a lot of Richie Ashburn fans out there. A PSA 5 is a very nice card, especially in a newer grade like this one is. You can see from the serial number and the flip up top. Now, I've never understood this. My dad and I talk about this all the time. Why is Curt Flood so affordable? He did so much to change the game. He's made a huge impact on the current players and their rights and their pay. And his rookie card in an SGC 5 sold for $30. That is definitely mind-blowing, if you ask me. A Curt Flood rookie card in an SGC 5 for under $35. How about a 1954 Topps Richie Ashburn in a PSA 4? Again, the 54 Topps set is one of the all-time best, and it's $24.36 for his 54 Topps card. Another set that I really like is the 55 Topps set. It's got two big rookie cards in Sandy Koufax and Roberto Clemente. But it's got so many other great Hall of Famers like Monty Irvin. This is an SGC 4 for $22.51. That's insane. A 57 Topps Whitey Ford in an SGC 4.5. A little OC side to side. But it's really sharp. If you look at that picture, the corners are really nice on it. It's a 4.5, and it sold for $22.50. How about a 54 Bowman Richie Ashburn in an SGC 2? I really like the 54 Bowman set. I don't really understand why they don't go for more. They seem to be affordable. But this Richie Ashburn was $15.50. And last but not least, the 1959 Fence Busters PSA 4 with Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews on it. A really nice looking card in a PSA 4 for $15.34. And that gets my fifth and final mind-blowing sale of October. Those were some really great deals. You don't have to break the bank in order to participate in this hobby. There are great deals for under $50.